His face instantly sank. As if having anticipated the look on his face now, Hayden Cohen laughed teasingly. I can't believe I would find out about your divorce from the news. How does it feel to be cuckolded? Fuck off. Haha, Amber is a good woman. You didn't cherish her. She's the only one who can put up with you for 6 years. Anyone else would have dumped you a long time ago. Jared wasn't happy. I don't like her. Yeah. You like Makenna Gardner, don't you? Hayden had met Makenna in college. It was said that a bystander could see things with a clearer mind. He could tell right away that the eldest daughter of the Gardner family was no slouch. But Jared. Hayden, on the other hand, was very impressed with Amber. She was good enough for Jared and kept the Farrell family in order. What a pity. Jared grimaced slightly. You called just to make a dig at me? I came to tell you that your ex-wife paid big bucks to have the ground floor of the vault all to herself. I was honored to be invited over to her party. Well, enough of that. I'm going to watch the dance. Hayden hung up the phone. Jared glanced at his phone with an expressionless face, then went back to his paperwork as if nothing had happened. But the next moment, Ben walked in. Mr. Farrell, Lady Georgia is back. Inside Euphoria Vault. Amber had actually brought Hayden in for a purpose. Few people knew that Hayden was the second son of the deputy mayor. His main estate was overseas, and he was back to sign a deal with Goldstone Company. The board of directors of Goldstone Company did not like the rising star and kept him away. She knew her chance had arrived. Amber walked over with a glass of wine and a smile on her face. Mr. Cohen, it's been a year and you're still as handsome as ever. Hayden had the typical dazzling eyes and a bad boy smile. You surprised me. It's hard to imagine that the beautiful, sexy, delicate, and elegant woman I see before me is the same person as she was 2 years ago. Amber swirled her glass and smiled. People change. We always have to move on, don't we? Hayden leaned in close to her and lowered her voice, then said jokingly, I'm a little confused as to why you invited me when you knew I was Jared's best friend. Could it be that you've developed a crush on me? Amber knew he liked to joke around and didn't get annoyed. Instead, she followed the man's gesture and whispered in his ear. She spoke softly and Hayden's face instantly straightened. He gave her a complicated look. Such an intelligent woman as you are. Jared will definitely regret this. The smile on Amber's face faded. He's in the past tense. What's the point of bringing him up? That's true. From now on, we'll be the best friend in the world. So, beautiful lady, may I ask you to dance? Hayden continued to be playful again. He had just stretched out his hand when he was interrupted by a voice. Jeremy, with his long legs, strode near them. He didn't even look at Hayden and directly replaced Amber's drink with a glass of juice in his hand. Amber, too much wine makes your head hurt. To Hayden's surprise, Amber didn't reject the glass of juice and took it naturally. He turned his eyes to the youth again and froze. This young man was good-looking and had a unique charisma. No wonder he was the rising star, the sought-after A-list model. Oh! Seemed like he had foreseen Jared's future misery. Jeremy nodded politely to Hayden. Then, facing Amber, he chuckled. I heard Cole say you've taken dance lessons. Why don't you teach me? Amber was in a surprisingly good mood. No problem. The two went hand in hand to the dance floor. Hayden came back to his senses and shook his head again. This male model is something. Jeremy, after all, was a model and had learned to dance with ease. He had long ago asked the DJ to change the color of the lights. On the sparkly stage, the two danced in perfect harmony. Cole whistled as he drank below. It was probably because she hadn't danced in a long time that Amber lost her footing at the end and suddenly fell off. Quick as a flash, Jeremy wrapped his hand around her back and took her into his arms. Amber was pressed against his chest and seemed to hear the rapid drumming of his heartbeat. That was what Jared had seen when he just entered. The normally gentle and demure woman was now lying in another man's arms, like an seductive siren. Jared's face stiffened instantly, which was gloomy and frightening. Jeremy whispered in Amber's ear. Amber, he's here. Amber had long since spotted the man through the large glass mirror across the room. She smiled as if she hadn't seen him and tucked a few strands of hair behind her ear. I'm a bit hungry. Let's go get something to eat first. Jeremy let go of her and followed her off the dance floor. As he passed Jared, he paused slightly and lifted his eyes. The glance was clearly provocative to Jared. Amber, stop right there. Amber paused with her back to him and turned around, and the corners of her lips lifted slightly. Mr. Farrell, what brings you here? If I remember correctly, I don't think I had invited you, did I? Jared glanced first at Jeremy, then met the youth's hostile gaze, and slightly narrowed his eyes. But it was to Amber that he said, I think you should be careful. The two of us just got divorced and you've caused all these gossips. It doesn't matter to you, but the Farrell family has to save face. Amber thought it was funny. It's not your turn to lecture me, is it? Besides, what does it matter to you who I like and who I'm with? You're wrong. I don't mean to be nosy, but you're making such a big deal out of it. Grandmother already knows. The man stood still with a sullen face, while his gaze was cold enough to blend with the night. The smile on Amber's face froze. Mrs. Farrell is back? Well, she wanted to see you. The corner of Jared's mouth tugged coldly, and he glanced behind him at Jeremy, then said sarcastically, Of course, if you're too busy dating a man, you can skip it. He left without looking back, and Amber, with a pondering look on her face, prepared to follow him. Amber. Seeing Jeremy about to follow them as well, she turned back to reassure him. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Watching Amber's back as she left from a distance, the light in Jeremy's eyes dimmed. That was when he noticed the figure over in the corner. Hayden stepped out with an embarrassed look on his face and coughed lightly. Well, I was out smoking and happened to overhear them talking. Jeremy seemed impassive and ignored him. Hayden rubbed his nose and was amused by his hostility towards him. You like Amber, don't you? Don't worry, I don't mean to steal her from you. Jeremy threw him an indifferent glance. It's windy out there, Mr. Cohen. You'd better get back early. With that, he walked away. Hayden paused for a moment, then shook his head and laughed. Amber sat in Jared's car and didn't say anything the whole way. Soon, they arrived at the Farrell family's old house. Lady Georgia Clinton, as known as the old Mrs. Farrell, lived in the suburbs and was a quiet person who believed in Buddhism. Only a few servants were serving in her house. From a distance, Amber heard Lady Georgia's cough. You go and stand at the door. Lady Georgia was pale and didn't look well. She spoke coldly to Jared before she ushered Amber into the house. I didn't expect such a big thing to happen soon after I came back. Amber, you're being too impulsive. Amber knew that Lady Georgia was talking about her divorce. She slowly stepped forward, took Lady Georgia's hand as she always did, and smiled slightly. Lady Georgia, you should be happy for me. I can finally be myself, right? Lady Georgia shouted at Jared outside the door with a grumble and turned her head. She was a little sad. Jared was such a fool to have lost you. Now you're even calling me Lady Georgia, so politely now. Amber was stunned and tears welled up in her eyes. Grandma. Lady Georgia patted the back of her hand. Amber, I know how you felt about Jared all these years. Can you really let go? I have no choice but to let go. Amber's heart ached. What could she do if she didn't let go? It really was enough. Lady Georgia pulled her into a hug and patted her on the back. I don't blame you for divorcing Jared. I knew this day would come sooner or later. Jared wasn't lucky enough. Amber leaned quietly into Lady Georgia's arms. Throughout her years with the Farrell family, Lady Georgia was the only person who treated her with kindness. With Lady Georgia looking after her, Shauna and Logan didn't dare bully her at will and had to be careful. She had long thought of Lady Georgia as family. Amber didn't regret the divorce, and she was just a bit sorry that she couldn't be by her side to take care of her. Amber, I've watched Jared grow up and know his nature. If he ever gets you back, will you come back? Lady Georgia couldn't let go of such a wonderful granddaughter-in-law and naturally hoped that the two would be together again in the future. But Amber wasn't naive. She knew that the only person who could soften Jared's heart was Makenna, not her. Amber laughed at herself. But, Grandma, he doesn't like me. I should have understood that 6 years ago. Lady Georgia's face was grim as she too realized what was going on. Grandmother, whether I am your granddaughter-in-law or not, you'll always in my heart. She reached out and stroked Lady Georgia's hair and smiled. You must be happy and get well. Don't worry about the rest. Jared stood quietly outside. He was aware of the bond that Amber had with Lady Georgia. Even though he didn't like Amber all these years, he couldn't deny that Amber had been very good to Lady Georgia. Even though Shauna and Logan didn't treat her well, she still looked after them. Jared was disgusted to learn that Amber was responsible for Makenna's car accident. But since she was truly devoted to Lady Georgia, he chose to let her go. It was the last mercy he had for her. It took a long time before the two in the house came out. Amber, come see me as often as you can. I'm afraid I don't have many days left to live. Grandmother, what nonsense are you talking about? You are going to live a long life. I will visit you often. At this point, Jared stepped forward. I'll drive you back. Amber declined detachedly. No, someone is coming to pick me up. Then she turned and headed for the black Maybach that had long since arrived. Jared's eyes deepened. It was Cole with the male model. The cozy image of the three of them talking and laughing was somewhat an eyesore to him. Lady Georgia coughed a few times and was a little out of breath. I'm too old to meddle with your business. But Jared, I hope you won't regret it one day. Lady Georgia, who had always loved him, was so disappointed in him that she did not want to look at him anymore and went back with the help of her maid. Jared stood alone in the doorway, and his face was expressionless. Regret? Impossible. Please download Novels Ago and search the code in the upper left corner to continue reading.